welcome you to this Bible study of the Banking Blessings Ministry. My name is Goodluck Ofebu, and this is my wife.
Obi Ofebu.
We welcome you today to our continuing study on husband-wife interactions. Today we are going to look at the marriage of David and Michal. And what we'll see here is that this will give us an opportunity, a glimpse of some of the things that may happen in arranged marriages, especially when marriages are arranged not with the interest of the couple uppermost, but with the interest of other people. In this case, we'll find that the marriage of Michal and David was controlled by the interest of Saul regarding David, and we'll see about David. We don't want to peek into the story later on. But what we learn from their marriage and their interactions will tell us a little bit about arranged marriages, what they may mean, and how people ought to guard against or be prepared when they are entering into marriage, to make sure that the interest of the people that are getting married is really what will determine whether or not they go into marriage. Honey, any opening statement before we get into David and Michal?
Yeah, the relationship of David and Michal has always been one that's intrigued me in the Bible. Not so much as the interaction between them, not so much as how they related as husband and wife. Also, of course, when you read, you just know that Michal was David's wife that was, given to circumstances brought her into his life and all that. But it would be interesting to actually look at the interactions between them beyond seeing Saul and beyond seeing David as the king and as the young shepherd boy that was, that killed Goliath.
Yeah.
And then Michal was given to him, as a trophy, It will really be interesting to look at the interactions between them as husband and wife.
Yes. Well, as I said, we're going to see that the marriage of David and Michal was really controlled. It was really about interactions between Saul and David. Michal, there's no evidence that Michal participated in the decision. Of course, we'll see that there is evidence that Michal loved David, and there is indirect evidence that David loved Michal. But there was other people had too much hand in their marriage and tended to control how they saw each other, and we see this. What we see going through their story is that their marriage was unsuccessful. The last thing we know of the marriage was a very unfortunate quarrel between them, and look at the detail. Also, the Bible tells us that they didn't have a child between them, even though they married quite young, and of course there was a long punctuation in their marriage, but they did live a long time. So it's interesting that they didn't have a child. We can't say that not having a child is because of what happened, but everything about their marriage indicates that the marriage was unsuccessful. We'll try to look at their interactions to see if we can understand why. Our information will come from 1 Samuel chapter 18, chapter 19 and 25, just a few selected verses, and then 2 Samuel chapter 3 and chapter 6. Well, let us start with how David married Michal. We remember that initially Saul was happy with David. David was just a servant in Saul's house until David killed Goliath and started getting attention from Israelites. Both soldiers under Saul admired David for his bravery in the field. All of these put together worried Saul. He became concerned that his kingdom would not last as long as he had expected. He had expected he would pass over to his children and all that. But now he saw David rising and was afraid that David was going to somehow take over his kingdom. And he didn't want any of that, and he believed that the right thing to do was to kill David. And he made no secret of that. He did a lot of things trying to kill David. One of the things he did was he wanted to use his first daughter as a trap for David. He put pressure on David to marry his daughter, but David didn't agree, and his daughter ended up marrying another person. Then along the process, they found out that Michal actually was in love with David. And then this is what went wrong here. Nothing wrong with a young woman loving a young man. They were both available. But what went wrong was Saul immediately saw it as an opportunity to snare David. Wasn't looking at Michal as David's wife. He was as David's future wife, somebody that was going to be married to David. He was looking at her as a tool he can use to lure David into a dangerous mission. A tool he can use to snare David and eventually kill him. That's all he was interested in. He wasn't interested in his daughter marrying David. So he lobbied, he sent his attendants to go and talk to David and say, I want you to marry my daughter. Well, when they talked to David, David said, oh no, I'm a lowly person. It's a very expensive thing, something I really cannot afford to marry the king's daughter. I don't see how I could become the king's son-in-law. Well, they went back and told Saul what David said, and he immediately saw an opportunity. He said, okay, go and tell him that all I need as bride price is 100 Philistine foreskins. Such a gruesome request. He wanted him, they were constant war with the Philistines, and the Philistines were their forever enemy. And he wanted David, the price he wanted David to provide to him to marry his daughter was 100 Philistine foreskins. So he wanted him to go into battle with the Philistines to kill them and secure their foreskin. Now this is a very dangerous thing. Going into battle and killing people is one thing, but killing them and then going to pick up their bodies and then go through this mutilation. He was really trying to use this to lure David into undertaking a dangerous mission so that the Philistines would kill David. That's what he wanted. That's what he hoped would happen. Well, we'll read the details. David did it, got him 200 instead of 100, and then and he married Saul. Let him marry his daughter because he had made a promise. Let us read about this. Then we'll discuss it some more. In 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 20 to 27.
Okay, we're reading 1 Samuel chapter 18, the New International Version. Verse 20. Now Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David, and when they told Saul about it, he was pleased. I will give her to him, he thought, so that she may be a snare to him, and so that the hand of the Philistines may be against him. So Saul said to David, now you have a second opportunity to become my son-in-law.
Well, so you can see his objective there. It's very well stated in the Bible. He wanted was to lure him into a dangerous confrontation with the Philistines
So that
with
he
the
killed.
hope that they will kill him. Okay, let's proceed.
Verse 22. Then Saul ordered his attendants, speak to David privately and say, look, the king likes you, and his attendants all love you. Now become his son-in-law.
Again, this was all, you could see all the interaction here, all the, everything here was about how Saul felt about David. That's, he claimed he likes David, how his attendants love David. In fact, there's no mention of Michal here in this.
Yeah, it's interesting because they were trying to convince David to marry Michal.
Michal, yeah.
Because David had turned down Mera,
The first
the
wife.
first daughter,
Yeah,
feeling that he was unworthy of such honor.
yeah,
That's why he turned it down.
yeah.
So Saul is doing all that he can to see that he gets David to marry Michal.
Yeah.
And once he agrees, of course, he already knows he's going to set a very difficult bride price that would kind of be a snare for David to be killed.
Yeah.
Because it's important that we note at this point that Saul was already envious of David.
Yes.
So
And all he wanted
was to get rid of him
to
because
get rid
the
of him.
people of Israel liked him.
Yes, exactly.
23. They repeated these words to David, but David said, do you think it is a small matter to become the king's son-in-law? I'm only a poor man and little known. When Saul's servants told him what David had said, Saul replied, say to David, the king wants no other price for the bride than 100 Philistine foreskins to take revenge on his enemies. Saul's plan was to have David fall by the hands of the Philistines.
So his only interest in trying to get David to marry his daughter was really to kill David. He wasn't interested in David marrying Michal. He was only interested in killing David. Michal was just a front, a tool that he was using to try to accomplish his objective. 26.
26. When the attendants told David these things, he was pleased to become the king's son-in-law. So, before the allotted time elapsed, David took his men with him and went out and killed 200 Philistines and brought back their foreskins. They counted out the full number to the king so that David might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him his daughter Michal in marriage.
Okay, so Saul gave Michal to David, and of course David accepted. He had undertaken the dangerous mission in order to provide the prize that Saul had asked for. And this is the indirect evidence we have that David loved Michal, because really when he was given the opportunity to marry the first daughter,
Mirab,
he politely refused. He didn't move on it. But this one, yes, he refused initially, but when they put up this price, the fact that he took the risk to secure this prize and pay for it gives me, it's an indirect evidence, I think, that he did love Michal.
That's one interpretation. But I would also think that at this time, because here you're talking about motivation,
Yeah.
what is really David's motive? His motive was to be the son-in-law of the king, which he felt was a prestigious position to be in. If you look at some of the verses before, he said, when the attendants were trying to convince him, he said, do you think it's a small thing to be the son-in-law of the king?
Yeah.
So he I don't know if I would see it much as love for Michal.
So he envied that
he
That
had
status.
that
Yeah.
status. He was
Yeah.
looking for that status.
Yeah.
He was looking for that relationship with Saul. He was looking for that position to be called the son-in-law
Okay.
of the king.
Yeah.
So this was really his motive, and that drove him to do over and beyond to make sure he secures that position. That's what I would.
Well, no, I agree with you. You see, and this actually made the story clear, made the situation clearer, because here you see the marriage of Michal to David was all about interaction between Saul and David. Saul wanted David to marry Michal because he wanted to use Michal as a tool to get to David and kill him. And David accepted because he wanted to become the king's son-in-law. Michal loved David, but nobody really asked Michal, but at least to the extent we know, nobody asked her what, and that's not, it's not the standard of their time. Remember when Isaac married Rebekah? The Rebekah's relations, after everything was discussed, they said, okay, before we do anything, we will have to talk to Rebekah. So they called her aside, talked to her, and then found out what she wanted, and then they went back and continued the negotiation. So, and this was way before these people. So the tradition of that place really recognized that the woman was the person being married, not anyone else. So her opinion was important. In this particular case, it's all about Saul and David, not really about Michal. And I think this is how their marriage got off on the wrong foot, so to speak. Let's proceed. But Michal did show some loyalty. One of the things that should happen in a marriage is that once a woman gets married, her relationship or her loyalty her primary loyalty changes from the family she came from to the family she married into. So it becomes she and her husband. And if something were to require her to declare a side, she would declare a side with the husband. That's the way God created marital interactions. So in this case, what happened was there was an interaction between David and Saul, where Saul threw a spear for the last time, tried to pin him to the wall. David ran away and ran to his house. So Saul sent people to surround David's house, and he wanted them to capture him there and bring him so that he could kill him. And I think Michal was in on this conspiracy. She was informed. She was aware of it at least. So she told David that night and said, look, you have to get out. If you don't get out tonight, you're going to be killed before morning. And then she let, because they were waiting where they expected David to come out, she let David out through the window and then made a cover, an idol that she placed on the bed and covered it so that even if they came there, they would think that David was still in bed. The sum of the whole interaction there is that she helped David to thwart an attempt, Saul's attempt, her father's attempt to capture David in their house. She helped David escape. So she showed what I may call loyalty to her marriage more than loyalty to her father. And we'll say more about this, but let us read the details in 1 Samuel chapter 19, verses 9 to 17. Yes, looks like a long section.
1 Samuel 19, verse 9. But an evil spirit from the Lord came on Saul as he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hand, while David was playing the lyre. Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear, but David eluded him, and Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night David made good his escape. Saul sent men to David's house to watch it and to kill him in the morning, but Michal, David's wife, warned him, "If you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed." So Michal let David down through a window and he fled and escaped.
Okay, two things we need to note here is that Michal was aware of Saul's plot against David. What that is telling us is that Saul actually saw her as a tool and co-opted her when the conspiracy was being hatched. I think Michal was informed about it. It's quite possible that other people informed Michal, but this indicates Michal was aware, at least that's what we know, and that Saul wanted Michal as an agent against David. Okay, let's proceed.
Then Michal took an idol and laid it on the bed, covering it with a garment and putting some goat's hair at the head. When Saul sent the men to capture David, Michal said, "He is ill." Then Saul sent the men back to see David and told them, "Bring him up to me in his bed, so that I may kill him." But when the men entered, there was the idol in the bed, and at the head was some goat's hair. Saul said to Michal, "Why did you deceive me like this and send my enemy away so that he escaped?" Michal told him, "He said to me, 'Let me get away. Why should I kill you?'"
Well, so David escaped, and this was his final separation from Saul. He became a fugitive thereafter. We've looked at that aspect of his life. But what happened during the time, he had a lot of men with him, and each of them had his family. Now David did not. There was no indication that David looked for Michal. He simply left Michal. It's quite possible that really he didn't trust. Remember, Saul was his enemy number one, and Saul considered David his enemy number one. So the life of Michal and David, or their marriage, did not have enough time for them to build a trust between them, for them to know they could trust each other. So I don't think David trusted her, and probably wasn't sure whether she would turn against him or lead spies to where he was as he was running away from her father. So he never looked for her. Michal herself also, after David ran away, didn't go to look for her husband. I mean, she could have asked around to find out where he was and go there, disguise herself and leave their village unnoticed by the father, and then join her husband. But none of them did this, telling me that there was really no trust, that their marriage, they hadn't had time. First of all, their marriage got off on the wrong foot. Then, even though Michal showed that one act of loyalty, that they had not spent enough time to build trust among themselves, and they didn't really have a strong bond. There was nothing. So they couldn't, once that challenge of, that suspicion of, you are the daughter of my arch enemy, or you are my father's arch enemy. So they couldn't go beyond that. They had no work, nothing. There was nothing to help them bridge that, so that they could seek each other. The result was Michal was remarried to someone else. Saul just gave her to someone else, and that was it.
Yeah, it's this particular place. Like I said, it's interesting to actually look into their lives.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at it, it kind of buttresses my thinking and my, that they each had different motives for getting into that marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Michal wanted to marry a successful young man who potentially would be king. And it was that position he was looking at. David wanted his trophy and to be the king's son-in-law.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing a man, and you will see many accounts like that, even if where the girl's father is no longer at peace with her husband.
Yeah.
You see the case of Jacob and Rachel,
Yeah.
and you know all that.
Yeah.
When Jacob was living, he carried his wives.
Yeah.
The first thing that if a situation where there's true love and the motive for that marriage is love, David in escaping will take his wife. Remember, they didn't have children at that time.
No.
So it wasn't going to be an encumbrance.
Mm.
And remember that David. Remember, it was David that went to war when
Abigail.
not just Abigail. When their enemies, I've forgotten their name, went and killed Amalekites.
Yeah.
Went and took their wives, took their children, and all that.
And burnt their base.
They went after those people to recover their wives.
Yeah.
Their wives and children were very important to them.
Yes. Yes.
So the first thing a man would do is, as you're escaping, you take your wife.
Yeah.
Michal didn't go with David. David did not take Michal.
Yeah.
And from what we see, neither of them looked for each other while Saul was alive.
Yeah.
Rather, Michal very gladly became married to another man.
Yeah.
So yes, there was loyalty. She exhibited loyalty by helping David to escape. But the proof of true love would have been that both of them escaped her father's wrath and her father's plan to kill her husband.
Yes.
And David will not just run away and say, I'm leaving, let me go run for my life.
Yeah.
The wife, had become part of him. So this kind of proves to me that there were other things, that were the motive for that union.
Yes. It wasn't the law. It wasn't a case of a man and a woman loving each other.
No.
And getting married.
For helping David to escape, for all I know, Michal was trying to protect her interest. Yeah, because what use is a dead man? A dead man will not become king.
Yeah.
A dead man is no longer the successful man that every maiden in Israel envied.
Yeah.
Because that was the situation David was in after killing Goliath.
Yes.
Every maiden, remember they were singing his song.
Yeah.
Saul had killed his 1,000, David his 10,000.
10,000.
Every young woman loved David.
Yeah.
So to Michal, David was a prized possession too.
Yeah. Okay. So that's basically. Let's just read here that this is 1 Samuel chapter 25 verse 44 to show Michal was remarried.
Yeah, but Saul had given his daughter Michal, David's wife, to Paltiel, son of Laish, who was from Galilee.
Okay. Well, so that was their relationship, and for a long time David was a fugitive, and eventually he was made king of Judah. For a while after Saul died, they made him king of Judah, and then eventually there was a negotiation or I've forgotten the name of the commander from Saul's camp. Abner, yes, Abner made a move to talk to David and was promising David he would help David unify Israel under one kingdom. And then at this point David said, hey, before you present yourself to me, I want you to return Michal to me. Now you have to see this in the context of what had happened before. That David didn't look for Michal, Michal didn't look for David, and every evidence is that really they didn't feel for each other. There was no real love between them. So what is happening here is David confirming that this Michal was
His
a
property. The
prize.
prize, yeah.
Prize he won, and he said it there. It was a prize he won, and now that he had the upper hand and had conquered the house of Saul in a war, in a battle that they tried to fight against him, he wanted to, I think, rub it in their face or something by saying, okay, give me back my wife. And remember, Michal was married to someone else, so this asking for Michal, I don't think it was the purpose was marriage. It was simply to regain his prize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and of course Michal was returned to David despite strong objection from her current husband. And again, maybe she wanted to return. She didn't object herself.
David was king.
But no, nobody asked her anything. Then let us read about this in 2 Samuel chapter 3, verses 12 through 16.
2 Samuel chapter 3, verse 12. Then Abner sent messengers on his behalf to say to David, "Whose land is it? Make an agreement with me and I will help you bring all Israel over to you." "Good," said David. "I will make an agreement with you, but I demand one thing of you. Do not come into my presence unless you bring Michal, daughter of Saul, when you come to see me." Then David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, son of Saul, demanding, "Give me my wife Michal, whom I betrothed to myself, for the price of 100 Philistine foreskins." So Ishbosheth gave orders and had her taken away from her husband, Paltiel, son of Laish. Her husband, however, went with her, weeping behind her all the way to Bahurim. Then Abner said to him, "Go back home." So he went back.
Well, so that was it. Michal was returned to David, and we didn't see anything again. There's nothing again about the interaction between them. Michal lived in his house. I don't know what happened, but this one incident happened when David had built a place for the Ark of God, a place in Jerusalem. The Ark was, in another place, and he tried the first time to bring it back, and was not successful because somebody manhandled the Ark and was killed, and God struck him. He died on the spot. So they put the Ark in another temporary place until after about 3 months, and then David again got people together this time to go and get the Ark and bring it back to Jerusalem so that he can put it in what they consider a befitting place. It would be at the center of Israel. That's where it was supposed to be. And this time they were successful. So David danced uncontrollably. He danced all the way. All of them were dancing and chanting and singing as they were bringing the ark back. And David was wearing a linen ephod like a priest. So he wasn't dressed in the regalia of a king. He was just dressed in as a priest, and was dancing and enjoying the fact that he had finally brought the ark back. Michal saw him from the window dancing and became ashamed of him. You see, this is an incident that brings out very clearly the fact that there was really these were not married couple by any means. So Michal saw David dancing. When they came back, when David got back, put the ark in its resting place, gave people all sorts of gifts, a lot of food and things were distributed to the people. Then he went back home to celebrate with his family, and there Michal let him have it. He just criticized David in a way that showed that she had no respect, she had no understanding for what was important to David at that time. She had absolutely no understanding. All that she cared about was that David was dancing in full view of young women, and that he was vulgar. Really, that's the language she used, that we're going to read it. So David got annoyed, rebuked Michal, and really that was the last we saw of any interaction between them. Then let us read the details in the Bible, and then we can talk about it a little more. In 2 Samuel 6, verses 14 to 16 and 20 to 22.
Okay. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 14, reading from the NIV. Verse 14, wearing a linen ephod, David was dancing before the Lord with all his might, while he and all Israel were bringing up the ark of the Lord with shouts and the sound of trumpets. As the ark of the Lord was entering the city of David, Michal, daughter of Saul, watched from a window, and when she saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, she despised him in her heart. When David returned home to bless his household, Michal, daughter of Saul, came out to meet him and said, "How the king of Israel has distinguished himself today, going around half naked in full view of the slave girls of his servants, as any vulgar fellow would." David said to Michal, "It was before the Lord who chose me rather than your father or anyone from his house when he appointed me ruler over the Lord's people Israel. I will celebrate before the Lord. I will become even more undignified than this, and I will be humiliated in my own eyes. But by these slave girls you spoke of, I will be held in honor."
Well,
yeah, I think according to the English writers, this was like the last straw that broke the camel's back.
yes.
At this point, it's obvious that Michal and David do not have any true love between them. And nothing was said much to us about their living as husband and wife.
Yeah.
But this kind of acts show that there was no love lost between them. They are, these are like strange bedfellows.
Yes.
Each had his or her own motive for being in a union that, they both found themselves in. Now, Michal despised David. Is a man after God's heart. David loved the Lord. David was a worshipper.
Yes.
He did all sorts of things, but he knew how to worship the Lord. And when this ark was being, moved finally, looking at what happened to Uzzah, the guy that was killed,
yes,
when he tried to steady the ark, when the oxen stumbled,
yes,
and David said, "I'm not going to just take this to the city of David. Let's find somewhere." And they left the ark in the house of, I think, Obed-Edom or somebody.
Obed-Edom, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they were moving it from there to where David had the final resting place. And David was dancing, worshiping, praising.
Yes.
And Michal did not understand that. Michal did not share David's love for God.
Yes.
What does this bring about? These are two people that are unequally yoked. David is a worshipper. Michal does not even have reverence for God. Just like his father Saul.
Yeah.
So there's no way she would understand what was going on with David. And another thing is that what was pushing her was like, if you look at, she said, so undignified before all the handmaidens. And so is the envy, like all these women are seeing my husband's nakedness.
Yeah.
All this, see how you have, you know,
dancing in front of
brought dancing in front of them. This has, you know, lowered you, brought you down, your integrity, your dignity, and all that. Which shows to her is about the princely and the royalty, that she's married to royalty. So nothing should puncture that royalty she's married into. You know, how will that picture? That's what she's married to. That position, nothing should bring it down. So anything that punctures it affects her, and that's why she despised David, because what David was doing, as far as she was concerned, was disgracing the position that she married. She married, you know, and she couldn't understand that. But David went ahead and said, well, you know, if you look at the banter between them, I was celebrating before the Lord, who chose me over your father or anybody from his household, as a matter of fact. What kind of word between husband and wife? The Lord chose me over your father. It's like, you know, rubbing it in that, hey.
He was fighting back.
So that's what he was insulting back.
He was insulting.
And then went further to say, those maidens you despise, those maidens you think, you know, I'm going to be honored in their presence. And you know, after that, David went to town. Was having wives, concubines, you know, and all that. So for me, this was like the final straw that broke the camel's back. And as we will see later, Michal went on, never had a child. It could be, one, people that are so antagonistic to each other, you know, could never finally share a bed together. That could be what? That could be something. It could also be that God was punishing her for despising David, who was celebrating. After he said, touch not my anointed, do my prophets. No one. We don't know for sure, but whatever it is did not end well with Michal.
No.
Neither did it, in terms of that relationship, did not end well for David as well. So these are the things that we see. And of course, if we're looking at life applications, which is where it really touches, you know, when the rubber hits the road. That is, because you might think these are accounts of the Bible. As you know, we should try as much as possible, no matter what the motive is, not to be unequally yoked. You know, people should marry those who understand their spirituality, their faith, and especially what relationship do they have with God. Because it's very easy. The closest person to you is your spouse. And that's the person that can do the greatest damage to your faith. Either by way of criticism or by way of trying to help you to build, you know, positively or negatively. That's the person that can make the greatest impact. You know, to your faith and to your life. So we have to be very careful. What is our motive? We have to choose it very carefully. Let nothing else motivate you to enter a marriage except the fact that this is a person you love, this is a person you can share the rest of your life with through thick and thin. Because we saw thick and we saw thin here, and we saw that that relationship could not stand it.
Could not stand any of them.
Could not stand any of them. And Michal ended up, even though she was married to David, but you could see that it was like they are married but they are not living together. Or they are not really married.
Their marriage didn't blossom.
No.
Their marriage didn't
wasn't fruitful.
Produce anything.
Yes.
And when she died, the marriage was over and nothing more to remember it by. And this one of the, you know, they got married because of other people's interest or interest that had nothing to do with living together. And that's why the marriage was unsuccessful. And we can see it here that on a day that was very important to David, all that Michal could find was criticism.
Criticism.
And then when David had the criticism,
He shot back.
Yeah, he returned it at 180 degrees. So we learn a lot here about what a marriage is not, about what should not happen.
Yeah.
How not to get into
Yeah.
marriage.
Yeah. What should not motivate you
Yeah.
into marriage?
Yes.
You know, it does not matter what.
Yes.
And this was from both sides. Michal was looking for something, David was looking for something. And, you know, the interaction, because this for me is an example of a marriage that was never fruitful, was not a happy marriage. You know, one would have said, when David said, bring back Michal to me, it was because David saw her as a trophy, as a prize, and he wanted his prize back. He said, I paid so much for that wife, so I need her back.
Yeah. He wanted to rub it in to the house of Saul.
And that is his victory over his prize, over his victory over the house of Saul.
Yes.
So it was about contest and rivalry and all that. And, you know.
Well, we thank you to have participated with us in this Bible study. And we hope that as we go through this series that you will learn with us. We are learning from the Bible, not from psychology books or anything. We're learning from the Bible about husband-wife interactions, and we expect that by the time we go through the series, we have learned a lot about God's purpose for husband and wife, how He wants their life to,
the relationship,
what He wants their relationship to be, and how He wants them to interact with each other, and to lay the foundation for a family. After all, it's these two people that will lay the foundation for a family. We thank you for participating with us, and we pray that you learn something that will make a positive impact on your life and will bring you closer to God's purpose for your life. Thank you, and God bless you.
God bless you, and join us next time.